What's up, guys? It's Dan from Coin Bureau Trading, back at it again with another crypto market update. Today we've got Cardano, Chainlink, and Algorand. I'm sure you're all wondering what these cryptos are up to. Are they going to keep crashing or are they going to bounce? If this is the kind of content that you enjoy, then be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ping that notification bell. Before we get started, do keep in mind that nothing in this video is financial advice. It's just my personal analysis of the crypto market. Your analysis could be different, and if it is, guys, that's awesome, because the more difference of opinion that we have, the better traders, the better investors we're all going to become. So before I jump into Cardano and Chainlink and Algorand, I actually want to take a quick look at what's going on in stocks, because basically the main reason, I'm sure many of you are wondering why crypto is crashing, basically the reason is because there was a huge crash in the stock market, and that begs the question of what caused the crash in the stock market. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure, but what I think I know is that this crash that we're seeing now is almost identical to the one that we saw over the summer, basically at the end of July and into early August with that yen carry trade unwind. That's when a lot of altcoins bottomed over the summer, and it looks like we're seeing a similar thing here, based not only on the stock market but also on altcoins, which I'll get to in just a second. But just real quick here with the stock market, this is the S&P 500 on the daily, and you can see that what happened is when it started dropping, there was kind of like a period of, let's say, like a consolidation and then like a massive like lower. That's the exact same thing we saw over the summer. And what's really interesting is that at the bottom of that drop was basically like near the starting point of the previous dip, if that makes any sense. So in July, August, it fell all the way down, and it basically went back to the starting point of the dip before that, which was sometime in April of 2024. And we're seeing kind of the same thing now, where you saw a huge wipeout, like this, almost like a leverage driven, like down only price action. And it took us back to the starting point of the previous dip, just like the last time before. I will caveat that I'm not like a stock market expert or analyst, but even based on the stuff that I was listening to earlier today, what's really crazy, guys, is apparently the ratio of people selling to buying stocks yesterday was 7-1. And apparently you don't see stuff like that unless it's a local bottom. And regardless, we will be getting, I believe, in the next couple of days, a recovery rally of some kind. Whether that turns into a full recovery or if it's just like a little relief rally, it's too soon to say. But one thing is clear, that stocks are driving crypto. So whatever stocks do is probably what crypto is going to do. That brings me here to others, which basically measures all the altcoins outside of the top 10. I do want to take a look at this real quick just to underscore the fact that whether it's Cardano or Chainlink or Algorand or any other altcoin, most other altcoins are in the bottom of a range that they've been chopping in basically now over the last year and a half. For some altcoins, it's been longer, like closer to 2 years or 18 months. And as you can see here, guys, what we kind of seen over the last few months is, again, almost identical to what we saw when the crypto market started crashing last spring. So there was kind of like a let's say like a blow off top type of a topping pattern right back there. You could say maybe it was some kind of like head and shoulders. This time maybe it was like a double top or something, but there was a topping pattern. And then there was a crash down, the consolidation zone, right, that lasted for a couple of months, which is exactly what we saw here between December and January. And then we have this final phase where you have like this kind of puke lower back to this long-term support line. And of course, for some altcoins, they're in a lower range. Some altcoins are in a higher range. But the thing is that most altcoins have been chopping in a range basically for the last year and a half, give or take. So all I'm wondering, and again, I honestly don't know the answer, all I'm wondering is, are we now going to see another, like, let's say, month or even 2 months of chop around these ranges before a recovery? Or are we going to get a quick bounce off and then, basically just like a rally starting even as soon as the end of the month? I honestly don't know, but as you guys know, I do lean towards the bullish side. So my base case would be that we would see a strong bounce. I've actually been expecting that the whole time we've been grinding lower here over the last month. I've been expecting that any time here, we're going to have like a little bit of a scare to the downside and then a sharp recovery rally higher, and crypto will basically go back up to this upper range that it's been trading in. And again, I know some altcoins have been trading in a much lower range, but the thing is that all altcoins have been trading in a range. That's the key thing to keep in mind, which of course brings me finally to Cardano. To be honest, there's nothing specific that sticks out in terms of catalysts that could be coming up for Cardano. It seems that there's going to be a meeting later today related to governance. It looks like there's going to be also an accelerator event on Twitter/X, which could be bullish, let's say, for some crypto projects in Cardano's ecosystem. But the fact of the matter is that so long as stocks are doing this, it's unlikely that, any of these bullish catalysts will have any impact. And if you guys think about it, this is what we've kind of been seeing, is that we see all these bullish announcements around Bitcoin, Ethereum, you name it, right? Strategic reserves and all this type of stuff. But it seems to have, at best, it has a short-term effect on the price. And that's basically because people are risk off, and it looks like they have been over the last month or so, judging by stocks. You could make the case that it's been the case for even longer. But regardless, this brings us to the ADA chart here. Of course, ADA isn't looking too hot here, but it's basically just fallen just back below the starting point, which again, like I've been saying, all cryptos have been chopping in a range. For ADA, that range has been somewhere between, let's say, 75 cents and $1.25. That's the range it's been chopping in for the last few months. And it's unfortunate that it's broken below this starting point, but it's still within, like it's normal for there to be deviations around these levels. It's still kind of within this range. So in my opinion, there's no, cause for concern here. I don't think ADA's headed much lower than here. We're starting to see a bullish engulfing candle form here on the daily, so that could be early signs of a recovery. Of course, we're going to have to take things one step at a time there. But the point being is that ADA is at the bottom of this range. That's why everyone is just like panicking. They're freaking out. Anyone who bought ADA up here is down whatever it is, 30%, 40%, and they're all panicking. But again, like, in my opinion, anyone who's bought anywhere within this range, they're probably going to be fine in the coming months. And of course, for me personally, I mentioned this at the end of the video yesterday. I've been accumulating basically throughout the zone. I've been accumulating at the at the top when altcoins would be at the top of range. I accumulated at the bottom when they were at the bottom of range, at the top, at the bottom, all throughout. I've been accumulating because eventually we will see a breakout out of this range, just like ADA will see a breakout out of this range. This $1.75 target is not a cycle top target. That's just for the coming weeks here. I know I've been saying that now for about a month or so, but I do believe that eventually ADA is going to hit that target and then continue moving higher. Maybe it'll bounce off the way it did here, see another couple of weeks or even a month of consolidation before blowing off and continuing higher. With that being said, of course, you guys might have noticed we were using Binance there. We have a 20% trading fee discount there with up to $600 in bonuses on the Coin Bureau deals page. I know that 20% doesn't sound like a lot, but those fees do add up. Even if you're trading with just a few hundred or a few $1,000s, if you're trading frequently, those fees will eat into your profits, or even just into your, make the losses worse, let's say. I know that from experience, and do take advantage of those deals. They're completely free. The exchange gets a new user, you get a trading fee discount, and we get a cut of the trading fees. That's how the Coin Bureau makes its money. We have no agenda here. We're not sponsored by Ethereum or Solana or XRP or anyone. We don't care what crypto you like, so long as you're looking to trade it or buy and sell. We have the tools to help you do that and save some fees. We also have some wallets as well that you can use to keep your ADA safe. And again, the link to all of that is in the description. Anyways, guys, moving on now to Chainlink. Of course, some of you might have heard that Sergey Nazarov was present at the White House Crypto Summit last Friday. Sergey even had said a few words, and Trump was kind of listening to what he had to say. And it's pretty impressive that Sergey has managed to make it all the way up there. But I mean, then again, it's not that surprising given that Chainlink is like the top oracle in crypto. Of course, some of you will know that World Liberty Financial holds some link, and I believe that World Liberty Financial is also using Chainlink as their oracle. And with all that being said, I do think that Link's probably Link's price action is going to be closely tied to what's going on with World Liberty Financial. And of course, not much has been going on there, which is why which is the primary reason I think that Link has been struggling here over the last couple of months compared to other cryptos. It's fallen quite a bit, more than 50%, over the last few months. It failed to hold this starting point, which is really unfortunate. I was really hoping it would get back above that with the strategic reserve announcement and with the White House stuff. Of course, that ended up being another sell the news event. So Link has fallen all the way back down to this long-term support line of around $12 here, which has been holding literally for years. I don't think that this support line is going to break. You can see that a lot of people have been buying as Link approaches $12. And again, could we see some consolidation here before moving higher? Sure. Again, it ties into this chart I was sharing earlier. Are we going to see a bounce from these lower levels, or is there going to be consolidation around that level? I honestly don't know. I think it's too soon to say. My base case would be a sharp bounce, kind of like a V-shaped recovery, going back up to that starting point by the end of the month. But we do have to be, I guess, prepared for the alternative scenario, is that we see basically like a month of chop around these levels, whether it's for ADA or Link or otherwise, which would be annoying. But again, in the grand scheme of things, it's pretty normal as far as crypto cycles are concerned. Altcoins tends to see their biggest gains toward the end of the cycle, which is going to occur, at the earliest sometime in the summer and at the latest sometime in the fall of this year. Anyways, guys, moving on now to Algorand. So with Algorand, same thing. There wasn't really too much that I could find that really got caught my eye. And not only that, but the thing that's unfortunate again is that all these bullish crypto catalysts, even if Algorand did have something big that's coming up, it's probably not going to move the needle given the risk-off sentiment that we see in stocks and other assets for the time being. But with that being said, I do think that similarly to Link and to ADA, I do think Algo is at a local bottom here. It's hit that long-term support. I mean, at the time of shooting, is just below that, around 19 cents, but around 20 cents is a long-term support level. I really don't think Algo is going to fall much lower than there. It's a level that's been pretty significant over the last couple of years, and for that reason, I don't think it's going to head much lower. But again, the question is it going to chop around this range for a month before moving higher, or is it going to see a nice sharp bounce back up to this starting point? Again, too soon to say. My base case is that we would see a sharp bounce up, especially given how brutal, how oversold everything is. I'm sure a lot of people are going short, and with all this negative sentiment, that sets the perfect conditions for a short squeeze, not just for Algo, but for all cryptos and especially altcoins. Which of course brings me now, guys, to the Coin Bureau Club. That's where you can find deep dives into small cap and mid cap altcoins, which we do every single week. The way that we pick those altcoins is by doing weekly altcoin review polls. The way that we add altcoins to those polls is based on a combination of our research and the suggestions of our members. Whichever altcoin wins is the one we review. We have a research feed where you're finding, I guess, the type of insights I shared at the beginning of this video, and that I'm going to be sharing in a second. That's the type of stuff that we're sharing in the research feed every single day. We have a team portfolio page where you can see what cryptos we're holding, as well as which cryptos we're considering buying. An exclusive deals page where you can find discounts on crypto analytics platforms, and a members Discord where you can discuss the crypto market with us, and where I'm doing technical analysis on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and altcoins every single day. And it's safe to say it's been pretty intense in there over the last couple of weeks. But it's interesting that even the bears and everyone who was bearish, it really does feel like everyone who wanted to sell has sold. I think that the bearish sentiment was a lot worse even like 2 or 3 weeks ago. We were getting bombarded with messages about everything being over, but now it seems to have calmed down, which is potentially like a divergence in bearishness, let's say. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's worth pointing out as well that crypto tends to move the most when there's like a risk off thing, right? Because crypto is the first thing to be sold, so it makes sense that let's say a couple of weeks after crypto had like a massive sell off and like everyone was panicking, now we're seeing the same thing in stocks. I don't think that's a coincidence. Crypto was kind of like a leading indicator there potentially. Which of course brings me now, guys. I do think it's worth bringing up this chart and reminding everyone that objectively everything is fine in terms of the liquidity cycle. Liquidity is still rising quickly, and even in terms of the crypto bull market cycle, everything is completely intact. But the problem is, I guess the main thing is now in the short term, liquidity is having a hard time flowing into crypto, especially into altcoins, and that's for two reasons. The first, again, is this risk-off environment that we've had at least for a month. Some would argue that the risk-off has been maybe since Trump started threatening all these tariffs, like it's in early February, right? I think since February 2nd, you could say, which I guess is roughly a month, but let's say 5 or 6 weeks, that there's been a risk-off sentiment, which has of course hurt crypto because that's the first asset to be sold. And then when it comes to altcoins specifically, I do think that there's been a lack of ways for this liquidity to flow into altcoins. Of course, that's going to change with the approval of spot altcoin ETFs and a whole bunch of other stuff. Especially, I think one thing that a lot of people are overlooking are integrations with Web2 companies and with TradFi. This is something that's going to come as there's more regulatory clarity, which is literally happening by the day. Like we're getting more and more regulatory clarity, but again, it's having no impact because everyone's panicking and everything is risk off. But once everything settles down and we do start to see a recovery, all of a sudden, all these factors that everyone was talking about, these factors and how they're so bullish, but when prices go the other way, it leaves them looking for other reasons, right? And the narrative always seems to follow the price. But in this case, what's reassuring and the key takeaway is that fundamentally everything looks fine. We are, on the grand scheme of things, everything is looking completely normal as far as altcoins go, as far as Bitcoin goes, as far as the stock market goes. Everything here is pretty normal. There's no cause for concern yet. And I think the chances of, again, like especially in the short term, a recovery rally, some relief rally, this seems especially likely now. Whether that materializes into a recovery, that remains to be seen. My base case would be that it will be, precisely because the fundamentals and everything looks fine. And yes, there's like some short-term scares here about like growth based on consumer sentiment and Federal Reserve models or whatever, all this type of stuff. But again, there doesn't seem to be under the surface any concern, any cause for concern yet. And you guys can rest assured that I've been bullish this entire time because, again, all this price action within this range to me is completely normal. It's painful when it's at the bottom of the range, but I've been accumulating as much as I can in the bottom of that range. Eventually it'll break out, and if we do see a significant breakdown and this turns out to be some kind of double top pattern, then you can rest assured I'll be the first ones to let you know, because again, like, as much as some of you might be frustrated with my constant bullishness, you can trust that when me, like the final bear, has capitulated, then either it's the actual bottom, or it actually is the beginning of the end. But I think that we're closer to the end of the end, if that makes any sense. And I've been saying that now, I think, for a couple weeks. Anyways, guys, if you did make it this far, then be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ping that notification bell. I'll see you in the next one.